Well, happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, July 14th in the year 2026, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. I'm going to start you guys off with a little funny this morning. The headline of this paper says the local duo arrested after Dollar General robbery goes wrong. Employees turn the tables and the getaway driver calls 911 to report the employees. It's in Blackshear, Georgia. It's in the Blackshear Chronicles crime and couponing desk. A would-be robbery at the Dollar General on Highway 84 spiraled into absolute Pierce County chaos on Tuesday night after two locals attempted what deputies are calling, quote, the least thought-out heist since that lady tried to steal a rotisserie chicken by putting it in her purse. According to investigators, the incident began when 29-year-old Travis T-Bone Mullins strutted into the store wearing a ski mask he reportedly bought from the store from the same Dollar General earlier that day. Witnesses say he approached the counter, pointed a finger gun, and demanded all the money and at least 2 packs of Marlboro Reds. That's when things took a turn. Cashier Brenda Fay, who has worked at Dollar General for 17 years and, quote, seen more foolishness than the Lord intended, unquote, immediately recognized Travis by his voice. Her statement to deputies is, she said, I said, Travis, take that mask off before I snatch it off. He said, you don't know me, baby. And she said, baby, I babysat him. Brenda then reportedly leaped over the counter with the agility of a caffeinated raccoon, tackling Travis into the seasonal aisle. 2 other employees joined in, armed with a broom, a box of discounted Easter candy, and what deputies described as the spirit of being fed up. Within seconds, Travis was pinned to the floor under a pile of employees and one inflatable pool float. Meanwhile, outside in the getaway vehicles, a 2004 Chevy Impala with one mismatched door, Travis's girlfriend and getaway driver, 26-year-old Kaylee Joe KG Driggers, realized that something had gone wrong. So instead of fleeing, she did what any panic mastermind would do. She called 911 to report that Dollar General employees were jumping her boyfriend for no reason. The 911 transcript says, KJ says, y'all need to get down here. They're beating him up real bad. Dispatch says, ma'am, is he robbing the store? KJ responded, that ain't the point. Deputies arrived moments later to find Travis still pinned under Brenda Fay, who refused to release him until she finished explaining how stupid this was. Sheriff spokesman Earl said, we appreciate citizen involvement, but we do not recommend tackling armed robbers, even if the robbers is Travis, especially if the robber is Travis. Both suspects were arrested on the scene. Travis faces charges of attempted robbery, wearing a mask in public, and general foolishness. KJ faces charges of aiding a crime and misuse of 911. Dollar General Corporate issued a statement saying, we do not condone employee-led takedowns, but we understand. They also confirmed the ski mask Travis used was indeed purchased with a debit card bearing his full legal name. And so that's our lead-in story for today. Travis in Blackshear, Georgia. Okay, so where am I here? So let me go back here and start out with who's on the show today. Our G-list guest this morning is Tammy McDaniel. Tammy is the owner and president of Tammy's Journeys, a full-service travel agency based in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. With nearly 4 decades in the travel and tourism industry, Tammy is recognized for her expertise in personalized luxury, travel planning, world cruises, river cruises, Alaska and Hawaii cruise tours, customized international itineraries, private air charters, and missionary and educational group travel. And we certainly look forward to that conversation. And I must say that Tammy has sent us on several trips We did an Alaska cruise that was great. We've cruised all through the Caribbean. We've been to Paris a couple times, Rome, so on and so forth. So thank you very much, Travis. So, Tammy, the show today, not Travis. You don't want to be Travis. Our show today is brought to you today by the consulting firm of Best Girl Inc. So let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Best Girl customizes the solution that fits your needs. So let's go to our round table today with Barbara, and Michael. Good morning, Barbara, and Michael. Good morning, Barbara, whichever one of you is up first. How are we doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I got to say,
that's got to be the most hilarious thing I've ever heard.
I have been dying laughing in the background. That is Travis is sick.
And his girlfriend is worse.
She said, Travis, take that mask off.
I know.
I babysat you. I know.
And when the 911 dispatch asked her if he was attempted robbery, she said, "That's not the point."
Is he robbing the store? I said, no, that's not the point. They're beating him up.
That is truly hilarious.
Tom, I don't know where you found that, but that has got to be the funniest robbery or attempted robbery I have. I mean, the only thing she could have done worse is that I babysat you and flip him over and pet him, beat his behind.
But they said she leaped.
She
leaped over the counter.
Took him down.
She pinned him.
Pinned him. They had a broom and an inflatable. What was it? Toy?
No,
Easter candy.
Easter candy. That was
Easter candy.
Tom,
first, I want to know who's still holding on to some discounted Easter candy. It's August. So.
Travis had on a mask that he bought from them earlier in the day.
With his debit card.
Table his name and information.
With his full government name.
Oh my goodness, that
he
is
said,
hilarious.
y'all need to get down here. They beating him up real bad. He said, is he robbing the store? That ain't the point.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That's got to be one of the best ones, Tom. That's
one for the ages right there.
I think we got to put Travis on the Mount Rushmore of buffoonery.
and the girlfriend.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
You know what I like when they says that you should be Travis. What do they say? Something about it. You shouldn't be robbing this store. It said, here it is. He said, we appreciate citizen involvement, but we do not recommend tackling armed robbers, even if the robber is Travis, especially if the robber is Travis. I don't think they think a lot of Travis.
They don't think a lot.
No, they wasn't worried about Travis.
Oh, not at all.
Oh,
okay. Well, let's. Who's got something else for us? I figured. I started to do that as a closing. And I said, no, that'd be a good way to open things.
Open it with that.
Perfect. Well,
Blackshear, Georgia. Michael, you know where Blackshear is?
Yeah. That's down like kind of in South Georgia. The quarterback, the little short quarterback that they didn't like, that's where he's from. You remember that they won the 2 national championships? I can't remember his name right now. But that's where he's from, Blackshear, Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah.
He probably knows Travis.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Classmates.
I'm sure he does. Well, Tom, I thought about starting out with a feel-good story, and so since you did that, I have one, and this is about a 4-year-old little boy named Roman Butzloff, and I know I'm not pronouncing that right, but anyway, you get the point. If you pass by his house in Concord, North Carolina, he'll greet you with a wave and a hey. His mother says he wakes up every day excited to say hi to somebody. That's the first thing that he wants to do. And yet, for the longest time, little Roman was very sad and lonely because his parents broke up and his father moved to Florida and his grandparents were out of state. And being the only child, I'm sure he was quite lonely. Well, what happened was that Roman would always wave to people he didn't know in the neighborhood every morning, hi, and waving and stuff. And so one guy named Wade lived across the street. He came over to meet the little boy that always waved at him and stuff and to get to know him. And we're talking senior citizens here now, yes. Okay? And then it was, after Wade, it was another one and another one and another one. And he had this whole village of senior citizens of all races coming to say hi to him and getting to know him. He started inviting them to come to his soccer game, his basketball games, and all his school activities. They even showed up for his open house at kindergarten and stuff. And so, yes. and they come around to visit him. And his mom said when he had his birthday party, she knew that she had to invite the senior citizens. And they all came, and their pictures are all over the refrigerator. And they all like his grandparents, you know. Yes. And one guy is walking him to school and stuff. And little Roman said, "I love you." He said, "I love you too," and stuff. And then, you know, and what's so great about it is all different races and nationalities that have come around to help this little boy, and it's just like raising him up. And it's just, and this lady said, they interviewed, CBS did a story on it, and they were talking about it, and one neighbor says, "Look what this little kid has built." And another one said, "If the world was like this child, what an awesome place it would be." Mm-hmm. And they're also thankful for Roman because they never would have even gotten to know each other had it not been for him. He was the common denominator that brought that neighborhood together. And he's a little 4-year-old boy.
Yeah, I saw that story, Michael. And that definitely was a feel-good story. I applaud little Roman for bringing the community together because of his openness and willingness to go out and speak to everyone that passed by his house every morning. They all came together, and it was a beautiful story.
Yes.
I saw it as well. It was a great story.
Yeah, it was definitely a feel-good story. So,
and it did as much for the seniors as it did for Roman. You know?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And they had a sweet grandchild that they could live vicariously through and to go to his birthday parties. That meant so much to them.
Absolutely.
You know?
And it showed up at all his, soccer games and, basketball games and swimming meets and everything. They were there for everything that he did. And that's wonderful. When you don't have your grandparents around. Yeah. On his own little cheering squad there.
He did.
But when you think about this, you think about all of the issues that we have, and you look at this little 4-year-old kid, Roman. Mm-hmm. And for people who have not seen it, he happens to be African-American, that he's right there in this little community, and he's reaching out to everybody, to say hi to, and they are all reciprocating with him. He doesn't know the difference. And the guy that's walking him down the street is a senior citizen with blonde hair, blue eyes, holding his hand, walking him down the street. He knows no difference. And you think about how people end up growing up to become the worst version of ourselves.
Right.
I'll put it that way, and it's kind of funny. You guys have met Chris. She has a grandson, and because he's used to seeing me around, he thinks I'm his grandfather, and stuff. In his mind,
that's special. That's special.
That is.
The thing about Roman is that he has his own security team. There's no place he can go that eyes are not watching him because these senior citizens, they make sure what's happening in the community is right. Her mother would never have to worry about this child being taken or stolen or anything happening because all eyes are on Roman.
Well, I think you have to give his mother a lot of credit as well.
You do.
Because a lot of parents would have said, "What are you doing? What?" because the first part I saw was he would just stand in the door and say hey to them, and as they passed by, he would wave at them or what have you. But he didn't know them, and they didn't know him, and his mother didn't know him, and she allowed him to continue that relationship. And it was wonderful.
Yes, absolutely.
So between him and Travis, I think we got a couple of hits this morning.
I think so too. I think so too.
Most definitely.
Well, Barbara, which one of you Barbara's got something for us?
Well, I have another feel-good story. There's a national nonprofit organization called Tunnels to Towers. It is committed to making sure that no veteran is left behind on the streets that they help protect. They work alongside local leaders to bring hope and healing to veterans everywhere. Well, they have purchased property over off Highway 280 here in Birmingham, which most people know is a very prominent area. They purchased a Spark Hotel, and they're remodeling that for a $9.2 million project to remodel it to become transformed to veterans housing. So that group they will break ground in October to begin construction. So by 2028, they're planning to open this housing unit. I think 110 veterans will receive housing in that area. They'll not only help them with housing, but with job security, training, all kinds of resources. And that's just a wonderful thing. So finally, someone is looking at those veterans who are homeless and providing housing to them in a very, very nice area of town. And I'm super excited about that.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Well, everybody has a feel-good story. My feel-good story is kind of goes the other way. The district judge, Williams, slams Trump and makes it possible for his attorneys to end up with disciplinary actions. When you are an attorney and you go before a judge, there are a couple of things you don't want to hear a judge say. First of all, the case you're bringing before us is a sham. And that's how she described this IRS settlement that Trump has been trying to move forward. The second thing you don't want to hear is that possible disciplinary action is coming forward. She's going to refer her case to the state of Florida, to the state of New York, and to DC, which could possibly put the guy who is up for U.S. attorney, could put his situation in jeopardy. So the judge says that this particular case of trying to get $1.7 billion, which they call a slush fund, is not going to happen. And I'm real happy about that because what they described the court doing for Trump and his attorneys is that this is what you call a court brutal smackdown, because not only is the case done away with, but all of the attorneys who represented him, even though they're U.S. attorneys, they're going to be in jeopardy with the bar. So that to me was good news.
Barbara, I saw the headline, but I didn't get a chance to read the story. What happened as far as the Trump family being untouchable when it comes to auditing purposes? Was that also done away with?
That was part of it too. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That was part of it too, because the judge even mentioned that this is fraud. This is a fraud on the court. You're trying to get the court to legitimize something that is fraudulent. And she also said that here you are, the president of the United States, you are the plaintiff and the defendant. She said, that doesn't even make sense. You can't do that in my court. I'm not having it. So, she said that the attorneys acted in bad faith, and they were trying to use the court to legitimize an agreement for immunity, and that was not happening in her court. So I was really, really pleased with Judge Williams and her statements. Good news.
Well, and just to piggyback off of that, Barbara, the way the judge left that decision regarding immunity with his family and business in the future, she did not disavow it, and she didn't condone it. In other words, she just left it hanging. So they can't implement it.
That's right.
and they can't do anything with it. So it's kind of like they're in your face to mess with you, you know.
It's in no man's land. I think that's a better statement, Michael, is that it's in no man, and you know that it's just left there. And but what using those words about being fraudulent and acting in bad faith, and these are words you just don't want to hear a judge saying to you in court. You just don't want to hear those kind of words coming from her decision. It's not good. So I'm sure he'll try another angle.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody got anything else?
I do have one other story that I wanted to mention. It's not good news, in my opinion. The Navy just announced that it will discharge sailors who can't shave clean within a year, even if a doctor says it's medically impossible. And this overwhelmingly targets Black service members. This condition is behind most of these waivers. Affects roughly 60% of Black men, according to the American College of Dermatology. A neutral grooming rule that mostly pushes out one race is not a neutral decision. This truly is race-based in many opinions, and that is not good news.
Not at all. Not at all.
So I didn't quite get that. So what?
They're basically saying that there's a rule in effect that if you cannot be clean shaven, that within a year, they're going to discharge you from the Navy.
And there's a certain percentage of African American men who cannot shave because of the bumps that and darkness on their face.
Magic shave.
That's right.
They need to use magic shave
on a butter knife. You know, that's how they would shave.
And you know,
we had that issue at Auburn because Suge was big on shaving, and some of the guys couldn't shave because of the bump that was on their face and so forth. And so finally, I had to go over there and talk to him about it and tell him, you know, these guys, it's not that they don't want to shave. It's not that they're disobeying you. It's that it's just, it doesn't work for them. It doesn't work for their skin texture and so on and so forth.
Right.
And, I don't know if he thought I was bullshitting him or not, but he finally it's like, Coach, you got these Black guys here. They're a little different than some of the white guys, and you need to recognize that they're different.
Yeah, because when your hair is very, very curly,
coarse,
and coarse, then you cut it, it will turn back into the skin, and then it will become infected and cause these bumps, and it can get infected. You know, so it can be a very serious problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't understand why that's necessary.
I think when you, again, I go back to this, but when you talk about diversity isn't just about hiring a number of people of a certain ethnicity. Diversity is people are different, and they need to be treated differently depending upon what the situation is. And these guys can't shave without harming themselves.
Right.
And that's just the bottom line, and they need to recognize that. But you know, at this point in time, with dummy like Hexeth in there, they're finding reasons not to work with people who may be different.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, it's interesting about that because, and Tom, I remember that happening at Auburn as well, because as soon as that happened at Auburn, they brought that down to Auburn High. The next thing I know, our coach was telling us we had to shave. And I was in the 10th grade, 9th grade, and I just maybe had peach fuzz. Telling me, what do you mean I got to shave for what? What the heck do with anything? I later found out that it was from what you guys were going through over at Auburn University, because whatever happened over there, they would shift it down to us.
And why I don't understand why that's necessary. It doesn't affect your ability to do a job. So why is that so important to them?
Discipline is what Suge said it was. Discipline.
And they want you to be clean shaven. And from their perspective, a person that is clean shaven is more trustworthy and what have you than a person that has facial hair. They're not to be trusted. They're a little bit more sinister, what have you. And that's psychological. That goes even back to Bell South days. So Tom knows what I'm talking about with that. From a marketing standpoint, they tell you that. But the other thing I was going to say, probably with the Army and the service, everything was built on the majority of the class of people in there, such as shaving, what have you. So they probably have some contract with somebody that's sending nothing but the razor for the majority of the people and telling everybody got to use the same razor rather than doing what Tom said, well, what would work for you and stuff. Well, how do we get you to this level and then start to cater that way? But that's not how they think.
So I was selected probably to go and talk to Coach Jordan for the players. So when I went to talk to him, he started talking about Black Power and stuff. I said, Coach, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't talk about Black Power or whatever. And
control, that's what it was.
He told me that he wanted everybody to be clean shaven like Bill Cosby and O.J. Simpson. I said, well, Coach, these many years later, you might have picked the two wrong guys.
Right. Right.
Good point, Tom.
And I told him, I said, well, my dad wears a mustache, Coach. And I don't think that went over too well. So,
but if you look historically at the Army, the Navy, nobody in the Civil War was shaving. Most of those guys had beards, mustache, long hair, sideburns. I mean,
the president, Lincoln has a long beard. So why does that matter? It shouldn't.
It's about control.
It only matters as to who was doing that. What you just pointed out, all those people had something in common, okay, that was different, okay. So that's what's happening. I like to kind of segue into this. I know we up against the clock, but it's interesting talking about power and stuff. The family of Dr. Leroy Upperman, a prominent Black physician in Wilmington, North Carolina, they have decided to move their $1 million scholarship away from University of North Carolina in Wilmington because the system came out with, you got it, diversity, equity, and inclusion changes. Now, Dr. Upperman was an African-American doctor there that was very well known and well established. And for over 30 years, they've had this $1 million scholarship there. And although they say you did not have to be African-American to qualify for it, but it traditionally went to that 5% underserved in the population there. And so they were presented with a decision that they could rewrite how their scholarship would be awarded to make it a policy of equality, an equality policy, right? And remove any mention of African-American in there and what have you. And so the families decided that they're just gonna shut it down and they're gonna move it to Howard University. But that's gonna make ripple reflections on everything else. It's gonna be ripple.
I got one that's even better than that. At your alma mater, or all of our alma maters, we had a guy that stepped up and who given over $1 million to the Melton Scholars and wanted to give another $1 million and some odd dollars. And the university said they were not accepting any more money for that program. Now, don't ask me why. Don't ask me. Don't give me all the questions. I don't know. I got a good idea as to why.
We all do.
But they no longer will accept. That man offered them $1 million and some odd dollars, and they wouldn't accept it because they don't accept any more money to that program.
So, are they doing away with the program?
I don't know. They had to say, if you can't get any money for it, it may as well do away with it.
Absolutely.
So what have they done with that $1 million is the question, because these are
you're running the program for 2 years, 2 or 3 years.
Oh, it's for 2 years. Okay. And this is for which college?
This is overall. For the university.
University overall. Okay.
Wow.
So, Yeah,
Wow.
that was pretty tough.
Yes, it is.
So let's go to Sean and move on because we got to get to our G list guest. Sean, you out there? You got a minute for us?
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute. It's Tuesday. I hope you all are doing well and in good spirits. So let's get into it. Have you ever caught yourself comparing your life to someone else's? Maybe it's their career, their relationship, their success, or the pace at which they seem to be moving through life. It's easy to look at someone else's life and wonder, why are they so much further ahead? But what we usually compare is their highlight reel to our behind the scenes work. We see the accomplishments, but we don't see the setbacks, the sacrifices, the moments of doubt, or the years it took for them to get there. The only story you truly know from the beginning to the end is your own. So instead of asking, why am I not where they are? Try asking yourself, am I growing from where I was yesterday? Growth isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's choosing to keep going. Sometimes it's responding differently than you did before. Other times it's simply refusing to give up. Your journey was never meant to look like anyone else's. It has its own purpose, its own timing, and its own lessons. Keep your eyes on your own path. And one day you'll look back and realize that every step, even the difficult ones, were preparing you for exactly for where you were meant to be. Now, y'all all go out and have a great day. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
G-list guest today. Our G-list guest is Tammy McDaniel. She's the owner president of Tammy's Journeys, a full-service travel agency based in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. She has 4 decades in the travel and tourism industry. She is recognized for her expertise in personalized luxury travel planning, world cruises, river cruises, Alaska and Hawaii cruises. And I can tell you she's absolutely wonderful, and she's sent us on several trips, and it's wonderful. So let's say good morning to Tammy and see what she's got for us. Good morning, Tammy. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great, thank you.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm doing
Yes.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, one of the ladies is going to start off with a question here, Tammy.
Okay.
We'll go from there.
All right. Tammy, you have traveled extensively everywhere. I can't think of a place that you've missed. You've been going and being so busy. And in this industry, for over what was it, 3 or 4 decades you've been doing this? Congratulations. The other thing I want to say to you is thank you for your service with the in the military, and I would imagine that that may have been part of your inspiration for going into this area of work. And that's my question. What inspired you to go into this area of work where you're all over the globe and taking other people to see the world? What inspired you?
Well, I was looking for something to do because I was planning to retire from the military. So I thought, well, I've always loved to travel. My parents took us on vacations every year. And, I was the compass for our family. So whenever my dad would drive somewhere and it would be a place that we'd go each year, he'd miss the turn and I'd go, Dad, go this way. So I don't know, it just naturally I had that um, ability to figure out travel even when I was a little kid, helping the family get from place to place. Maybe it was just directions, but I don't know. I think my family probably inspired me by taking us on vacations all the time. And then when I was in the military, I thought, that would be something I'd be interested in getting involved with. So there was a I took part-time school at this college in Oklahoma City. And then I actually worked for free because the college had a travel agency. So I'd go in after I'd get done with my Air Force job and work from 6 to 9 whenever I could, worked on the weekends. I got so proficient, they took time off. Like, oh, we could just leave Tammy with the agency and we can have some time off. And then once I got out of, well, I ended up getting out of the military. And then my husband at the time, he had a job and got promoted to Atlanta, Georgia. So we moved to Marietta. And then I worked for American Express there. Then after that, then I was special activities coordinator for the Officers' Wives Club in England, and then moved here in, I think it was 94, and just kept moving on. And then I had about 4 years of private air charter experience at the Destin Airport. And then I decided to take the leap of faith and been in the business now on my own for like 15 years.
Great.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, Tammy, you've sent us on several trips, and I mean, we've been to Alaska and all through the Caribbean, but you customize the trips. So, like when we went to Paris, a couple times you've sent us to Paris. Joyce had a cooking class, and she had a shopping class, and these people would come and pick her up and take her to these places through Paris, take her she did cooking in Rome and stuff. I always get a bicycle, and I got to ride my bicycle all over Paris and stuff. So it isn't just, you're in Fort Walton, but you can customize all around the world. So talk a little bit about that.
Yes. Well, it's kind of a dying breed. So there's not very many people that like to do this. I love to put together customized trips because it's a continual learning process. So when they tell me where they want to go, it gets me excited to, if it's someplace I haven't been, to learn about that area and, find things for them to do. But yes, customized travel planning, there honestly is not very many full-time travel agents that really want to get involved in that. So many times you find travel advisors that kind of like, what do you call it? Order takers. So, they're cruise, so all they want to do is cruises. I mean, we get people in that go to travel agents that are working from home, and they said, well, they don't do the pre and post. Can you help us? And then I end up saying, well, next time just come to me and I can do the whole thing without, just doing the stuff that the agent doesn't want to do. So the longevity of being in the industry, it's not necessarily that I've been all over the world, but, just it's the resources. So when somebody tells me where they want to go and what they want to do, my head's already spinning on, the resources that I need to do to customize that trip or just even, pick a cruise line or a tour operator for them on where they want to go.
Nice. Michael, one of the barbers.
Okay. Well, good morning, Tammy. Thanks for being with us.
And good morning.
I want to say congratulations on the success that you've had. Nowadays, the big thing is the adventure vacation. Everybody want to kind of do an adventure vacation. Tell me, since you do customization on vacations, what's the most unusual request you've had from somebody that wanted an adventure type vacation?
Well, it was an adventure type vacation, and it was truly an adventure for me. So I had this client that just calls me up, spare the moment, and asked me to put together something. I mean, we're talking about less than a week. And what he wanted to do is take his 2 daughters, had me rent an big RV. We're talking about a big RV, like this 5-day trip costing $32,000 just for the bus. And then this was start out in Las Vegas, do the national parks, and drop it off in Las Vegas. So I put it together. I was able to find a RV for him to pick up, and then I had to schedule because they had to have him drive it around a parking lot to make sure he could handle it okay. He had his nanny with him, so it was one of those deals. But then after I put it together for him, I thought, he's not even thinking. Some of these national parks, how is he going to get to the national parks once he gets parked in this campground?
That's right.
So what I ended up doing is I ended up saying, hey, I'm going to meet you in Las Vegas. So literally I had less than 12 hours. I booked myself, I booked a Cherokee Jeep. I booked my flight out to Las Vegas, spent the night, met them at the parking lot where they were going to do the driving, helped the nanny and the girls buy the food for their trip. And then I basically followed them on that trip so they'd have a Jeep. And then luckily I was lucky enough that there was a hotel that was like walking distance from the campground. So in the mornings I would drop off the Jeep and I walk back, and then luckily I could work, from the hotel room. But that's what I learned. And then all of a sudden he changed his mind in the middle of the trip. And he said, oh, we don't want to go there anymore. So I end up having to figure out what I'm going to do now. He wanted to stay an extra night at this one national park. So then I had to cancel the reservation for this, because when you're talking about big RVs, there's only certain places that they can go.
Right.
So anyway, that was probably the most unique, challenging trip I've ever done, where I've actually had to help them, go on the trip. And thank goodness I was there, because let me just tell you, because he was doing a last minute and he thought it was a great idea. Oh my gosh. And thank goodness he got insurance too, because, he kind of put some nicks on that RV. So thank goodness he got the insurance. I talked him into getting the insurance too. So yeah, that's probably one of my more unique and what I have to do. But that was the one where he's a good client of mine. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to have to go and help him out some. And luckily I was able to do that.
Wow.
Tammy, I've never heard of that before, but that is amazing.
That's definitely customized service, Tammy. That's an awesome story. Wow.
Yeah, that was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask, if you recommended travel insurance to your clients. And so you just answered that question. That was
all the time.
All the
time. And believe it or not. And one of the things that I try as, because insurance is not bad as long as you're under 70 years old. But once you're 70 and above, it just jumps up sky high. So what I recommend, and for listeners out there, is look for credit card companies. Like, for example, I have an American Express Reserve card. I pay $695, but guess what? It gives me $10,000 worth of travel insurance. Mm-hmm. If you are over 70 and you buy a yearly policy, which I recommend for them to do, a $10,000 yearly policy is like $785. So shop around for a credit card that gives you travel insurance, for example, like up to $10,000. And so you're getting, number one, insurance. You're getting, number two, like for the Sky Miles Reserve card, you get like 15 entries to the Sky Lounge throughout the year. And, rent a car insurance. You get buy one, get one free airline tickets. And when you're up at the Reserve card, it's any class of service instead of just regular economy. So check that out. Or if you don't want to buy an extra credit card, well, then you can buy a yearly plan. But the yearly plans are the same price no matter what your age is. So that's the reason why I recommend for people who are 70 and older and looking for travel insurance to, find a yearly plan if they plan to travel. Well, even if it only covers one trip, you could be doing short trips and it'll cover you then. It always covers your post trip. But that's kind of what I recommend for insurance. But have insurance. I had to hire somebody just part-time that works 2 times a week, 4 hours twice a week, to handle insurance claims, because that's how many insurance claims that we're getting.
Wow.
Wow. That's a lot.
So when you hire this wonderful person that comes in 2 times a week to handle the insurance claims, are these claims that come through the client's credit card, like the reserve card? Is that what you process too, or not?
Yeah. So when I started my business, I said, I was going to be full service. And one of the things that I always saw that there was a lack of service is if you had to use your insurance, it's kind of like deer in the headlights. Where do I start? How do I do it? Well, I've always helped people, my clients, even when I was a young travel agent, with travel claims. So I pretty much know the process. So it was just teaching her how to do the process, but it's really having all that paperwork and knowing what you need at the beginning, because what's going to happen is, I always say, you got to seal your case so that they can't tell you no on paying you. And so that's what you always look at. But if you have all this stuff ahead of time and know how to file the claim, then our claims usually go pretty fast, because number one, she's always calling twice a week saying, hey, what's the status of my client's claim, right? Otherwise, if you did this on your own, you're not going to know, because there's stuff that they need and they're not going to tell you. They're going to wait until maybe a month goes by and you call like, we haven't got paid for my claim yet. Oh, we're still needing this piece of paperwork. So she stays on it by constantly contacting them. And, if they're missing paperwork, she'll say, well, I'll send it right today. So this way, she stays engaged with those claims until they get paid.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So Tammy, you're in Fort Walton, but now you book people all over, right? Because I know some people in Birmingham you've sent on trips.
Yes. Yeah, I even have a client that lives in the UK.
Wow.
That's great.
They're everywhere.
Well, Tammy, as much as my Tom, I have a Tom, Tom, I have to clarify that, and I like to travel, you might be hearing from us, because we are big travelers. And
Yes,
Barbara
we are.
Edwards is a big traveler too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we don't, the only time that we ever charge any type of fees of whatsoever, and because we're a small mom and pop, is the fact that anything that doesn't, that we don't get paid for. So for example, airline tickets. So the airlines back in the 80s changed it so they didn't compensate travel agents. So basically, I haven't changed my fee structure ever since I started my business, but we charge a fee for domestic and international tickets. But the service is that when you have a schedule change or your flights gets canceled while you're traveling, you can call us. You can stand in line, because sometimes those lines are long, but you've got somebody to call, and we're helping you in the background. So you may not even have to wait much longer in line. We'll just say, refresh your app. If we can handle that for you. So the service fees that we charge is really for taking care of you while you're traveling or before traveling. And we handle it for you, so you're not sitting on the phone online or waiting to get an answer or whatever. So it's really for the service.
The first time I think we went on a trip, something happened. I can't remember what it was. And I said to my wife, well, what are we going to do? She said, well, we'll call Tammy. I said, back and forth, we were over in Europe somewhere. We're going to call her in Fort Walton. So we called Tammy. Tammy got it straightened out wherever we were.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just got a call this morning at probably about 4 a.m. where my client's transfer didn't show up, but that comes to another part right now, what's going on in Europe. So you've got to use companies now, which I just realized that you've got to tell the pickup or the private transfers. It's taken people now over 2 hours to get out of immigrations and customs out of the airport. So basically they lost their transfer because the shuttle driver was waiting there for over an hour. And, on the paperwork, it tells you that they can only wait so long. So they lost their transfer. So one of the things that you got to be aware of because of this new ID system that Europe is trying out with the biometric and stuff, it's really slowing down the lines. And so, expects at certain airports up to 2 hours just to get out of the airport.
Right.
Wow.
Tammy, I have a question regarding the Clear and TSA PreCheck global entry. Those new things that have popped up, I guess, in the last several years. Out of those three, is there one that's better than the other? Do you suggest one of your clients over the other?
If you had to, of the three, I would say global entry, because global entry is like the king, right? Because you can have pre-TSA, but that's only going to really cover you domestically. But your global entry is when you come back into the United States, then you go to a kiosk, show your passport, and then you get your little slip, and then you go to the global entry line. But I would say that it's worth getting global entry, kind of bypass the pre-TSA, unless all you're going to do is do domestic travel. But really, global entry is the one that you want. And speaking of going back to those credit cards again, if you pick the right credit card, like the American Express Reserve card that I've got, you get reimbursed for your global entry. And I could do Clear too if I wanted to. If I wanted to go over steroids, Clear clearly has the shortest lines of but I don't know. I like global entry.
Yes. That's my preference as well. I just wondered as a expert what you would prefer.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it made a big difference for the global entry, made a big difference for Tom and me when we were traveling internationally to just zip. You're out of the, you're out of the fray. So yes, I agree with you on that, Tammy. The personal experience of having that and avoiding those long lines really helped a lot.
Yes. Oh yes, very much so.
Tammy, I have global entry and Clear and TSA PreCheck, so I try to have it all. Let me ask this question: do you think that the grandpa that was in Yellowstone that got hit by the bison had any travel insurance?
Well, they probably would try to. I don't know if they would investigate if he was being too close to the animal or whatever, or if it was something just unforeseen. But I always say, like I said, we'll file a claim for you, and just have all your medical receipts. And I'm sure that the insurance company would definitely think that was a very unique experience, just kind of like how I had that experience with my client, following him to the national parks in an RV. I'm sure they have very unique cases. As a matter of fact, do you remember that one insurance company that had ads all the time, and they had all their unique circumstances of insurance that they had to pay the claims for? And I always thought that was funny. And some of them were, like funny scenarios, like, wow, that is funny. But I would say that they would, if he had to get care and he had travel insurance, definitely, I would definitely file a claim if I was him, if he had insurance.
That was something else. That bison ran him down and just tossed him like 8 feet.
I saw that.
Yeah,
that was
horrible.
Horrible.
I couldn't hardly
kicked him up.
That's what they do.
Yeah, he and his grandson they were taking pictures of him, and he was like across the road from him. Okay, and he was waddling, and they also say that it's rutting season right now. So a lot of the bisons, they're pumped up with testosterone and stuff. And so this big bison was just rolling around in the dirt, acting like he was crazy and shit. And so this car came by, he started charging. So the guy in the white pickup truck kept moving, and he ran over there where the kid and the grandfather was, and they started running. And the grandfather was running through the trees and around. The bison ran up behind him and hit him and knocked him up in the air like a cartoon, man. And he flipped and came down, and some other guys ran over to try to distract him because they didn't want the bison to stump him, and trample him. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
They say he broke his femur in a couple places.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I will, Tammy, I mean, they do great service. And times we've been, you stayed in a hotel, but then last time we went to Paris and Rome, we wanted to stay in apartments. And so we stayed in an apartment in France and also in Rome. And it was great. We stayed right there in the community with the people.
Right.
I wanted to stay in Montmartre because I'd read a lot about Montmartre.
Yeah.
Right.
And she also arranged, I think Joyce had a cooking class. They came and picked her up and took her. She went and did cooking with the chef. And so she can do some really, and also a shopping class. She can do some really unique things that really make the trip worthwhile. So thank you again, Tammy. And we went to New York about 3 weeks ago.
Hey, all I was thinking about is, like when Trump decided to go to that game, I go, of all the games he would go to, is the one that Tom was wanting to be by the Madison Square Gardens, and and everybody was, all the locals were upset because they couldn't get near Madison Square Gardens because he was there. And
Right.
So, I was really pleased to hear that you found a little pub.
Oh man, we were a half a block from the garden, and we were off when they blocked everything off, the streets off. We were already inside the blockade, so we were great. We had a great time.
Oh my gosh, I know. Talk about a jinx. Like he jinxed that game, and then he jinxed the World Cup. So
Right.
He just messed it up.
Everything he touches. Everything he touches.
That's so
Reflecting
funny.
pool, all of the celebrations for 250. I mean, it was just awful.
Right.
Oh my
So
goodness.
Tammy,
Yeah.
clients who are interested in working with you, how do they contact you?
Oh, well, they can go to tammysjourneys.com, which is my website. There's a little place at the top that says contact us. They can click on that, or they can call. My number is 850-243-3809. And they can email me at Tammy and then my name of the company is tammysjourneys.com. You can email me, and I'll be glad to assist any way possible. And like I said, definitely know the ins and outs, some of the hacks that some of the tour operators, how to work around things. We know all the ins and outs about Viking cruises, believe it or not. I was in the industry before Viking cruises even existed. It used to be Peter Dillman. It used to only do Russian cruises. And then before it became Viking. So, yeah, when I look back and I see where these tour operators are, where they came from, and like, wow, I was in the industry before they even were here.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I want to
That is
ask you
cool.
one last question, Tammy, because this is really important, especially for people who travel a lot. I've read several books by Rick Stevens and about packing. How do you pack when you go on a trip? Do you have like a checklist for what the do's and don'ts? Because people just don't know how to pack when traveling stateside or when they're going internationally. Any just real cute suggestions?
Yeah, well, actually, in Fort Walton Beach, and maybe they'll have them in different areas of the country, the class of lifelong learning. So one of my clients actually teaches a travel class, and I go in there and talk about the advantages of using a travel advisor versus traveling or planning your travel on your own. But they actually have one class that does nothing to do with how to pack smart. So, and what I think what I'm going to suggest for them to do is maybe do a video of it and then maybe post it online to give people tips on how. But yeah, they show, how the rolling techniques and all that. But one of the things that people have to be more aware of now is especially when they start going overseas and they're making connections, because a lot of times they're on a foreign carrier and they have a totally different baggage policy than the U.S. carriers do. So you always want to learn how to pack smart, because you never know if you're going to be asked to put your suitcase in that little bin, and if it doesn't fit, then they're going to, and they charge you. In other words, they'll charge you there at the counter. They won't give you like, oh, sorry, you got to check this in. They're going to charge you. So just make sure that you pack smart. And then just, what we normally do is, depending on what cruise line that they take, we'll know whether or not they have like a complimentary laundrette. Like, for example, Viking Ocean. Ocean has a complimentary laundrette. So you can pack a little smarter that way, because you know that there's somewhere to wash your laundry while you're on your trip. So anyway, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I just have to say, thank you, Tammy. It was great talking to you. And I just got to say, it's so funny that you would say Trump, he sabotaged the basketball game and then the soccer team. It's just like across the board, everybody's view it as that way. And it's just so funny that was the first thing you said.
I know. It's either that or they're losing the game, or you're going to lose your job, or you're going to lose your, being associated with him. You better be careful, because you could be gone. You could lose your job at any time once your time is up, or once you're no longer needed.
So true.
So true.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tammy.
You've been great.
You were a joy.
Thank you.
You were a
Thank
joy.
you.
Bye-bye.
No. Okay. My closing comment for today is the W, as it is called, which is short for the WNBA, the Professional Women's Basketball League, has risen to national television status and Game of the Week honors. Plus, if you like good basketball, it's really good basketball. The W has its stars with Caitlin Clark. She's the center of the cultural mainstream discussions. But Paige Beckers, the second-year player from Connecticut, who is also like Clark, white and dominant, appears to dodge the same degree of social debate as Clark from the media and the fans. Now, how did these two white women, big-time basketball players, end up with such different reputations? Clark grew up in Indiana, Beckers in Minnesota. Clark came up in a traditional American family. Her family history was defined by sports. Her grandfather was a famous high school football coach. Beckers grew up in a blended family with three half-siblings, including a younger brother, Drew, who is biracial and partially black. Beckers joined the Black Lives Matter movement after George Floyd was murdered. Clark led Team USA to a gold medal. Because of her little black brother, Beckers sees the world differently. Of her brother, she says, I'm scared for him. I'm scared for myself because that's my little brother. He's my best friend. I'm really close to him. When accepted in the 2021 ESPY Best Female College Athlete Award, Beckers insisted Black women don't get the media coverage that they deserve and advocated for more celebration of Black women. Clark has regularly condemned alleged racially charged insults, but largely stays clear of statements that could be viewed as political. Two superior athletes, 2 points of view, a love of basketball, and two very different cultural realities. So that is our show for today. I want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. Thank our G-list guest, Tammy McDaniel from Tammy's Journey. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thanks again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, Michael, Joyce. And that's it for this July 14th. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. If you've got an extra one, give one to someone else today. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Peace.